Hey, Dr. Webb. This is my Reflect and Connect on this week's reading, which was Chapter 8 from Gillespie and Hammond. And this chapter was on improvisation in orchestra. Now, the first paragraph kind of says improvisation can be used to enhance school curriculum, and it shouldn't be replacing it, but it can be used like in addition to what we teach in orchestra, so that way it can help our students grow. And improvisation, I think, is valuable for a lot of ways. Gillespie and Hammond, one thing they say is that it's in the musical standards for the National Association for Music Education. So, for New York too, I think that's one thing that is required. But also, improvisation helps hone in students' creativity, and having students be creative as well as being good musicians is very important. Furthermore, it helps students find their full potential, and it helps them focus more on oral and hand skills together, instead of just listening, but putting that in addition to the instrument. And furthermore, it just hones basic musicianship, as well as it kind of just being a new outlet for creativity. There are a couple different teaching strategies for improvisation. One that I thought was particularly effective was the riff approach, whereas when you can start with an open string and you just play 4 notes, and then you improvise based off of those 4 notes or the riff. And then you can kind of build it up in chunks. So you start with the same 4 notes, and then you add 2 notes, then you add 3 notes, then you add a whole scale. And then you kind of base the improvisation based off of that group of notes. And then you can slowly start to incorporate different rhythms and more notes and that sort of thing. This is kind of similar to what I remember improvisation being taught in elementary, middle school for us in jazz band, where students would just be encouraged to use the notes of a D major scale, and then you'd use those notes to play something, whatever rhythms you want, over, a blues or something, if we were doing that. Another strategy is the call and response / question and answer approach, where, one person would play an idea and then you have someone else answer it. So if I played 4 D string notes, another student could follow that by playing 4 A's or 4 more D's or a different rhythm, something like that. And then another is the chordal approach, where you have different sections play notes of a chord and then have people improvise over that chord. There's also the rhythmic ostinato approach, and then there's a couple different exercises and stuff like that Gillespie and Hammond recommend. There's an article from Martin Norgaard's 6-step exercise for improvisation. Another particularly effective one that I thought, was the D blues, or just A blues, where you teach the form to the class and then have them play notes from the blues scale over the form. And that's just again, I think learning about the blues goes to kind of inform students' musicianship and help them grow as a performer, because they can perform without needing sheet music, but also they learn about different song forms and stuff that isn't just what we read off the page. The last was a 4-bar approach, where you have, 2 bars written out and then 1 bar where you improvise, and then you finish by playing the last bar with what's written. And I think this is useful because it combines the two. It gets you used to reading music and then improvising something in the key and then finishing it with what's written. And this could be useful because you could have the whole class play the first 2 bars together and then have one person improvise for the 4 bars, and then everyone plays together. And this could be useful, similar to what we've been doing in class, where it could be good for using time effectively, where you have everybody playing, then one person, then everybody plays, then another person. And like in a lesson, it could be good to pass the playing responsibilities around to each person, so that way not just one student is being is like sitting out, or one person is playing the whole time. And I think improvising is great. Working on it in lessons and in jazz band is a lot of fun. It's like a good way to like express yourself as a musician, and I think it's really important. And I personally would be looking forward to finding a way to implement it into my school program.